Claude Monet was an Impressionist artist in the late 1800s and early 1900s. He was born on November 14th, 1840 in Paris, France. Throughout his life he struggled with depression, poverty, and illness, and would end up dying in 1926. In as early as 1905, Monet started having problems seeing, which affected some of his later work. Monet painted what he saw, but he had trouble seeing whites, greens, and blues. As well, over time, his vision became more blurry, leading to his brushstrokes becoming more broad. Many of Monet's paintings are impressionisms of landscapes, his wife, or both. He enrolled in the Académie Suisse, which he found very boring because it was very dry and too standard. Claude wanted to paint outdoors instead of the more standard and traditional art that he was being taught. Monet met a landscape artist named Eugene Boudin, who taught him how to paint outdoors. What made Monet different than artists before him is he would paint entire paintings start to finish outdoors. A critic said that his work is an impression since his painting was more focused on light and form than it was of its realism. This led to his work being called Impressionism. He would paint the same subject or structure, but with a variety of light, so for example like morning, night, cloudy, etc. In the Victorian era, the invention of the flat-ended brush changed his and many others' work. This made it so that the bristles on the end of the brush were flat. The technique that Monet used was known as tache. Using tache, Monet would use slabs of color and due to the flat brush, get rectangle shapes on the canvas. He would build up the colors and essentially overlap them. Here is one of Monet's most famous paintings called Water Lily Pond, which uses tache. As you can see, the colors overlap. Tache allowed Monet to paint quickly and efficiently. This is another painting of lilies in a pond, which is 6 feet and almost 7 inches high by 13 feet and 11 inches. Another thing that made Monet's work Impressionism was the fact that colors were very similar. So this hut doesn't look as realistic as it could because the colors don't contrast, there's no major difference, they all are very similar. Though there is some blue, it doesn't overpower the tan and red in it. In Paris, Monet grew relationships with young painters Alfred Sicily, Paul Cézanne, and Auguste Renoir. Claude Monet worked and inspired them to paint everyday life. And just like that, Claude Monet was not the only one painting outdoors. It was common amongst others due to the fact that he inspired. Throughout his life, Claude Monet created about 2,500 paintings. The number is uncertain though, because as he aged and continued to suffer from depression, he felt he had been a failure, so he started destroying his paintings. His paintings can be found all around the world, but most are in Marmottan Monet Museum in Paris. These are some of Claude Monet's most famous works.